Give me one of those.
Yeah. On.
Duh.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
After having to wait 3 years and multiple Gunn comic book adaptation projects, Peacemaker Season 2 has finally come and gone. As a whole, it was an extremely solid project, and one I could consider to be one of James Gunn's best. That's why I was so excited to finally see this show getting a second season after having to wait so long. Luckily, it turned out great, being better than the first in many ways, providing an interesting story, having good character moments, and a lot of great comedy bits. At first. Because unfortunately, while everything was looking great at the start, the entire season practically unraveled with the finale, which dropped the ball hard. To the point where everyone is reevaluating it, and now calling the season as a whole bad. Which I don't agree with. I do think the season was an overall disappointment, but that doesn't make it entirely bad. Because, shocker, Gunn is still a good writer, and there's still a lot of good writing here. It just isn't very good towards the end, but we'll get to that. Probably my favorite aspect of this season is how the story here pretty much solely revolves around Chris this time around compared to Season 1. Because in Season 1, he was wrapped into an overall government conspiracy going on, and while his dad played a factor within the story, it wasn't connected to the main plot going on, where everyone else in this story is revolving around Chris and the shenanigans that he is going through. And this season feels like a natural next step for Chris's character, where he feels like such a screw-up and got dealt such a bad hand in life that moving to another universe that seems perfect is the best thing for him. Pretty much everything done for him is great, and it's helped immensely by John Cena still giving it his absolute all. But that's only when we actually get to see him. Because, yeah, while Peacemaker is the main character of the Peacemaker TV show, there are massive chunks where we spend time with anyone but him. And while that doesn't sound like a big issue, it helps with fleshing out the side characters, of course. That doesn't really happen, because no one gets really anything important to do here. When I said the main plot revolves around Chris, I really meant that, because no one else has a stake in it until the last few episodes. The main plot for this season revolves around the weird pocket dimension portal thing his dad had in the last season, where Chris stumbles into this perfect universe and it kicks off a bigger overall mystery. A mystery which I think was handled pretty well and in general led to some great reveals towards the end. Compared to all the other characters, Hardcore is the only one, second to only Chris, to get any amount of development or meaningful stake within the plot. Because essentially she's kind of the other main character of this season with how much is given to her. With her having a thing for Chris, not admitting it, and fighting that to get her old job back, the whole major B-plot is the romantic involvement between her and Chris, with an event between them being hinted to constantly throughout the season. But once it's revealed in the finale, it's really disappointing and nowhere as serious as we were led to believe. But besides that, I think what they did with her as well was pretty good. At times, she can kind of come off as a try-hard badass to somewhat of an annoying degree, but not too much to the point where she's unlikable or anything. But Adebayo and Economos are significantly underutilized here, with neither of them really adding anything or doing anything for that matter. Ads has something going on with her ex, which is shown in like episode 2, and then not addressed until the finale, which could have been interesting development for her, but it practically comes and goes without any proper build-up. Though the other side plot that she has going on with her trying to open up her own detective agency or whatever does pay off in the finale, which I thought was nice, but it was nowhere near the amount of development or time she got in the previous season. Economos is pretty much just the punching bag here. And while he kind of was that as well in Season 1, there was at least a little more going on with him in that season, on top of the fact that he had more moments with each of the individual characters. Here, he's separated from a majority of the group for most of the time, and he doesn't really have much going on with the other characters, since they all just find him annoying, and it's just not fun to watch him bicker with them. The only one who isn't somewhat useless is Vigilante, who still remains the funniest character here.
Are you fucking kidding me?
but at the cost of him barely being present and not really having a role to play within the overall story. Like, yeah, he comes in clutch at a couple of points here and there, but narratively, he doesn't actually add anything. He's kind of just more or less along for the ride this whole time, which is unfortunate. Hell, compared to last season, I would honestly say that a lot of the characters here are more unpleasant this time around, which was not something I was expecting. Either because of the amount of unnecessary swearing being turned up to 11, like last time, or the amount of really unfunny running jokes. The bird blindness one wasn't funny the first time, so having to hear it over and over again throughout the show was grating. Vigilante treating his mom like a piece of shit wasn't as funny as I think it was supposed to be, and every other word being a swear or replacement for an actual punchline really just didn't sit well with me. While I did say that I enjoyed how the story revolved around Chris this time around compared to the first, it's extremely uneven, because there's so many moments and plot lines that, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, go to fucking nowhere. Stuff like Michael Rooker being an eagle hunter that dicks around in the woods for nearly all his screen time and adds nothing to the plot. 70% of the stuff that has to do with Argus feels like needless filler, uninteresting filler, that I might add, that only becomes important by the end in an extremely uninteresting way. Stuff like that is pretty much wasting time and killing any forward momentum the main plot involving the alternate Earth has, because there's massive chunks where we don't get to see any more development going into it, or the characters from there, leading to it being somewhat underdeveloped for the penultimate episode, which, while extremely interesting, revealed how there wasn't enough time spent there when the big twist was revealed, leading to the massive escalation of events to feel underwhelming, which is made 10 times worse when it's not even the finale of the show, which I just do not understand. Because, spoiler alert, when you use your whole season to set up an alternate Nazi Earth, I'd think that that would play a role in your finale, instead of using said finale as setup for the next Superman movie, as the Alt-Earth isn't present within the last episode at all with no mention. Just everyone doing multiverse things. Plus, I've also seen a lot of people defending the episode, saying that those who are criticizing it were just upset that it wasn't a cameo fest, but no. People are upset at the finale for not properly tying in with the rest of the season besides thematically, because aspects like where the characters end up is really sweet, it's just the getting to that part was messy, uneven, and not properly addressed. But with the noticeable dip in Gunn's usual writing output, you can 100% tell that this and also Creature Commandos were the result of his burnout, because both of them really did feel like they were written by a guy who was preoccupied working on a full-length movie and keeping track of a whole cinematic universe. I love his work, and I think he has done nothing but make incredible comic book adaptations, but Creature Commandos and Season 2 of Peacemaker have started to make me a little tired of his writing style. I don't know how many more times we need to see projects following a band of misfits learning to work together while set to 80s tunes, especially when the emotional payoff of his previous projects were significantly more effective. Overall, Peacemaker Season 2 wasn't terrible, and I didn't hate it, but with how badly everything came undone with the finale, it just pisses me off. Because I could see great character work being done here. I could see the awesome Gunn-isms that have made all of his projects so good, but it just fell apart so quickly. I think Gunn in general just needs to stop multitasking for a bit and solely focus his attention on a single project, like the Superman sequel. And in the meantime, hopefully other filmmakers with different styles can fill in the gaps for a bit and help us recharge from constant Gunn shenanigans. But until then, take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.